Hello, some review of 7.5. Again, you're supposed to be doing the evens, so I'm going to go over some odds. Now, the property that we have is if these are parallel lines, like they are, then we can set up a proportion, meaning that really any of these can be the equal sign. So right here, I have to figure out what goes on top. So I have E over F, and then I have a C across from it. So then across from E would be B. So I have to make sure to put the B up there. So here when I look at this one, I have A over B. So that means that I need to have D, because that's across from A, over E. So you have to figure out, I can do 1 too, I guess. I have A over C. So I'm doing the top and bottom. So that means I have to have D over F. So that should be D. So if I look at question number 9, again, you can set up the proportion based on this. So like here's my fraction equal fraction. So I have 8 over 7 is equal to 16 over 2x. You need to get rid of this division. So you need to multiply this side by 7, this side by 2x. So I have 16x is equal to 16 times 7 is 112. Now to get the x by itself, I would divide by 16. Now I get x 7. Oh, I feel like something went wrong there. Nope, nothing went wrong. So x would be equal to 7. I'm just solving for x. So we're going to look at question number 11. So again, here's these parallel lines, these two transversals cutting through it. We can set up our proportion just like that. This one's going to be a little bit longer though, because it looks like we're going to have a lot of algebra with this question. So I have x over x minus 2 is equal to x plus 4 over 9. First step, just like up here, we have to multiply. So we multiply this side by 9. So I get rid of this division and multiply this side by 9. Here I have x minus 2 times x plus 4. So now I have to FOIL this. So again, my four numbers that I have here are my first two. So that my first two are x times x. So that would give me x squared. Then I have x times 4. That gives me 4x. Now I have negative 2 times x. That would give me a negative 2x. Negative 2 times 4 would give me a negative 8. And I still have this 9x here. The first thing I'm going to do is combine my two like terms. So I still have this 9x is equal to, now I have this x squared plus 2x minus 8. Now I have to use my quadratic formula. I need to set this equal to 0. Remember, the first step is to set this equal to 0. So I'm going to move over here. So 0 will be equal to x squared minus 7x, because a positive 2 minus 9, negative 7x minus 8. So now I have to use my quadratic formula. My A, B, C, plug it in here. If this part is confusing to you, go back to the geometry view, quadratic formula. This is a perfect square. So now I have 7 plus or minus, this perfect square of 81 is 9. Two answers here. 7 plus 9 divided by 2, 7 minus 9 divided by 2. This will give me 16 divided by 2, which is 8. This will give me negative 2 divided by 2, which is negative 1. Now I have to see, do these answers make sense? Well, if I plug in 8, that makes sense. If I plug in negative 1, I would get a negative length. This answer does not make sense. So my overall final answer is 8. And I'm going to do two questions on the back side. So there's two ways that you can set up this proportion. You can either make your equal sign a proportion like this. So either it would look like that, or you can set your equal sign here. So it would look like x over x plus 4 is equal to 3 over x plus 2. If you look at these two proportions, either way I do it, when I get rid of my division, I will either way have 3 times x plus 4 is equal to x times x plus 2. Notice why I still get that in parentheses. So I distribute on both sides. Now I'm going to move everything over. I need to set this equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract my 3x. I'm going to subtract my 12. Now the reason I'm putting it over here is because these are not like terms with that. So I'm going to have 0 is equal to x squared minus 1x minus 12. Now I use my quadratic formula, and this is a perfect square. So I have 1 plus or minus 7 over 2 is equal to, or now I have to split up my 2, so 1 plus 7 over 2, 1 minus 7 over 2. So this would give me 8 over 2, which is 4. And this would give me negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3. Now I have to look back. Do those make sense? The negative, again, doesn't make sense because I cannot have a negative length here. Now you might be asking yourself, that just means whenever I have a negative, I'm just going to cross it out. No, not every time. So you should check it. But in this case, again, the negative doesn't make sense. My one and only answer, full credit, is 4. The last one I'm going to do, because this is a doozy. Here I have to first set up my proportion. Just like we did before, that is equal to this. So my proportion will look like x plus 3 over 2x plus 2 is equal to 2x plus 2 over 4x minus 2. You have to move this division. So x plus 3, notice again how I leave it in my parentheses, 2x plus 2 times 2x plus 2. And you have to FOIL out both sides. So my first, outside, inside, last. First, outside, inside, last. Now I'm going to combine my two like terms in the middle. So negative 2x plus 12x would give me 10x. And combine my two like terms in the middle. So this gives me 8x. One thing I'm going to do first is move over my x squared. Now one thing you might notice, when I move over this 4x squared, it actually cancels out on both sides. So I'm left with just 10x minus 6 is equal to 8x plus 4. I do not need the quadratic formula. I do not have something squared. So I subtract my 8x, I get 2x. I'm going to add my 6, I get 10. I'm going to divide by 2, and I get x is equal to 5. Feeling alive with number 5. Hey-yo! And there you go. Quiz tomorrow. Have a great, grand, wonderful day.